Julius, do you have a memorable audition story that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, sure. I think for the audition for John Luke, which was the Children and Everything role that I have, when I first auditioned for it, I was like, there's no way in hell I'm going to get this. It's a dude named John Luke. I don't know many Asian people named John Luke, but fuck it. And what was really cool was at the time I was trying to see if it was like a reader thing when it came to booking, which is it isn't, because it's always just you create patterns in your mind rather than it's just you, the performer. So I do the first audition. They like me. I do a second. I do a callback, and this is probably terrible, but like I didn't know anyone, and I chose not to know anyone in the room. So I didn't know that I was like buddy with the creator right now, or I'm like making fun jokes with like some of the head writers, because I just didn't want to think about the pressure of it all. And then on the second callback, turned out it was just down to me and another guy. And all I'm doing is sitting there being like, all right, it's down to like, do they want a white dude or they want an Asian dude? Oh my God, I have no idea. And like, you know, I go in doing my same thing, making them laugh still. And I'm like, all right, cool. And like, hear nothing back. And I'm just like, great, cool. That was a fun process. I'm good. I'm done. And on my birthday, I get the call that I booked it. And I was like, what the heck? Okay, I guess I'm John Luke. This is a really good birthday present. All right. Yeah. It's not really a funny story. It's more of just a story. I don't know. Sorry.
No, that's great, man. On your birthday, what a great. Maybe that's why they were waiting. They're like, it's his birthday soon. Let's just wait and give him a birthday.
How would they know it was my birthday? That's the creepy part, Lars.
Don't ask questions, Julius. Don't ask
All
questions.
Right.
The universe knew. Maybe they didn't know. The universe knew.
Yeah.
That's great. Do you have any? We always like to ask this too. We obviously like to focus on wins and the positive. But any audition horror stories, without naming names or throwing anyone under the bus?
Oh, yeah.
Or just wacky, weird things that you've been asked to do, or sketchy places that you've gone to do an audition?
So nothing sketchy per se, but I did an audition for, oh God, it's like an Omni TV show. I think it's called Blood and Water, which is like full Chinese speaking crime drama. And everybody going in are like friends of mine who like can speak Cantonese, but don't speak it like too fluently. And when I go in, the woman who's our reader is mouthing the lines for me and trying to do indications as I'm like trying to focus. And I was like, I'm not. I mean, it's clearly a no if the reader's like, oh, he needs help. Oh, he needs like, I need the police. And I was like, oh, I'm not here. I'm gone. like yeah, that's the one thing I don't miss about in person, where you could be ready and then you go in and you're like, I'm not ready for this. I was not expecting this at all. Okay, cool. I'm turning now.
Right. Yeah. We talk about the difference between in person, but I haven't thought of it specifically from the curveballs that you get in the room.
Right.
And Brandon, we just had someone, Adam Daniel Mazet, one of our members, was just in the studio, and we were talking about the weird juxtaposition and opposite of super prepared, super rehearsed versus just improv, in the flow, in the moment muscles. And yeah, in a self-tape, it's often preparing and you can tape a few times. Not that you want to tape 100 times, but you have the control to submit the tape that you want, versus back in the day of in-persons, it's, oh, we're actually not going to use that scene, or here, we want you to read for this part instead. And you're just like, oh, all right. And you just got to roll with it, versus being, to just be able to control every little thing. We got a little comment here from Mark Rival as well. Again, Mark says, I'm not a fan of taped auditions. I believe the director needs to see, feel, and touch the actor in person. Okay, maybe not touch. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
right. Keep your paws off me, Mark. However, I think there are some taped auditions that does not reflect the actor's true range. Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing that you also miss in person is you don't get the opportunity for a redirect, or like you have your one interpretation of it, and that's it until callbacks, versus in the room you could take take one and they're like, yeah, that was great, but this is what we were thinking. And then you're like, oh, it clicks. And then take two is what they were looking for.
I suppose I kind of would counter that, because I do love us having more agency in the self-tape, where we can, and we have to look back at our own performances and really question, am I looking at the right things? Or am I just being like, we need to retake, I don't like how my hair looks, or I make this weird twitch with my eyes. Because, you know, like, you're right that the director, it's nice when they give you the notes and the feedback right there. But especially, what is it, like 3 years into the pandemic, I feel like all of us have to like look at our tapes with a critical eye and figure out like, what is my interpretation, and stand strong with that one. But that's just my
Well,
2 cents.
I'm not advocating for in person. I much prefer self tapes. I do not miss the day of spending an entire day going to 3 different places across town in transit to be in the room for 5 minutes.
And not to mention sitting with your competitors all outside as you're just kind of like patiently waiting to go in. It felt like an exam, you know what I mean? Where I'm like, I don't want to see Brandon's smug face when it comes out of an audition.
What I did kind of like, because I would see buddies and friends, but I know what you mean. Yeah. You also want to be in game face and just like, I'm here to nail this one versus I'm here to socialize.
Because I will say, at least from my experience, that garnered a toxic environment where people were more like friendly just to size you up, and then or either like, get out of my vision, I'm focused. And so by losing or eliminating that weird, oh, we're in competition, you can focus more on the work. You're not being like, well, what's Brandon Knox doing? What is he doing with this line? Oh my God. Oh, he got up and he left the room laughing with all the cast directors. Now I'm next. Oh no. Like that shit doesn't help anyone except maybe Brandon, but like that's just it. Like, better to be in your own space.
True.
And Mark, I feel like you could actually showcase more with a self-tape rather than in person, because, or at least for me, I get kind of closed off. I build a bit of a wall when I meet strangers and I have to perform, I don't know, some pretty vulnerable scenes in front of them. Yeah.
There's something to say to having I think every actor should have their own home studio in addition to having other go-to studios in a pinch that they need to go to. But you want to have your home field advantage and your home theater, whether that's for auditioning or creating other content for social media. I think like nowadays we're all mini production companies and artists at the same time, ideally.